If you're not paying attention carefully to WWE programming, then things are absolutely going to go over your head. And that is exactly what happened here with John Cena and Stone Cold Steve Austin on the production truck. Now, let me just give you a little bit of a backstory, because this type of storytelling was not done on WWE television until Triple H first came into power, when Vince McMahon was still kind of looming around backstage, right? Remember when Bray Wyatt was coming back, and then WWE is doing the QR codes, and then there's things happening in the background in other stories, you know, Bobby Lashley talking to the Hurt Business or whatever. There was so many different moments in that time period last year when Triple H was kind of, I would say from like 2022 to 2023, you know, Triple H was making things in the background matter. Yesterday on Raw, we saw this as well with Drew McIntyre and Paul Heyman. Earlier in the night, Paul Heyman and Drew McIntyre are talking in the background of like a DIY promo or whatever, segment, I should say. And then what was really crazy is later on the show, Drew McIntyre ends up hitting a future shock DDT on Seth Rollins. Obviously, the Bloodline was fighting with Cody, and then it led to this, which was The Rock beating up Cody Rhodes. And then sure enough, at the end of Raw, we see this production truck, and everybody's thinking, hey, what is the point of this? And I think WWE knew very well what they were doing, because it was done purposely. Now, what does it mean? We're going to talk about that. The way I'm looking at this, though, it's special, right? It's special. WrestleVotes came out and reported today that it wasn't a coincidence at all that those trucks were even shown on the broadcast, which is another indication that WWE has some sort of plans for Cena and Austin at the event. Very clearly, they have something planned for WrestleMania 40. What could it be? Well, why did they do it first and foremost? Why is WWE doing this stuff on purpose? Well, one, I think it makes it really fun for the IWC, right? You don't typically book for the IWC, but when you have people on the internet trying to guess and trying to speculate, all you're doing is actually increasing the engagement and increasing the conversation, right? Which continues WWE to be trending. So even though you don't necessarily book for the IWC, you book for your overall audience, you are going to get people to talk about this. So by WWE doing stuff like this, I think that's one of the big reasons why these backstage segments are a big deal for WWE. I think that's why WWE is constantly doing these background teases, right? These little Easter eggs. I think they do it because it drives the conversation about the product. People are trying to crack the code. It becomes a conversation piece. I think that's one very large reason. I think too, it's just another element of good storytelling, right? A lot of good storytelling requires foreshadowing in some department. And I think for pro wrestling to have a little bit of foreshadowing, it gets you excited, because Steve Austin and John Cena aren't on WWE programming right now, but clearly they will be at WrestleMania 40, because WWE is openly teasing it, openly showing us that we should understand at some point they will be involved. Now, John Cena versus Stone Cold Steve Austin is not going to be the case. So for the last few minutes of this video, I kind of want to just tell you guys what I think is going to go down. I think there's two different things that you will see happen at WWE WrestleMania 40 that can really go down with John Cena or Stone Cold Steve Austin, or both. The first being, I always look back. I don't know if it was WrestleMania 34 or 30. I don't know which one it was. I can't remember which WrestleMania it was. At this point, it just seems like such a long time ago, even though it really wasn't. But nonetheless, I know it happened in New Orleans. I know it was The Rock, Stone Cold, and Hulk Hogan. They opened up the show. Hulk Hogan completely botched the name of the stadium. And it was just like really funny. You know, at the time, it was a really hype moment, completely felt unscripted. I could see WWE doing something like that this year, right? And I think it makes a lot of sense. WrestleMania 40 is the biggest of all time. I think there could be a lot of great things that could come from it, right? But obviously, when I look at WWE and I look specifically at WrestleMania 40, I think, okay, well, John Cena, Stone Cold, those are two of the legends. Who else could come and join them? And I don't want to see Hulk Hogan, right? I want to see somebody that, obviously I'm a fan of. I want to see somebody that meant something to WrestleMania that's no longer at WrestleMania. And I think it's The Undertaker. I think Undertaker and WrestleMania will always be synonymous with each other because of The Undertaker having his streak. So in my personal opinion, I don't see how WWE cannot have The Undertaker involved. He doesn't need to wrestle. He doesn't need to get physical. But there's something that you could absolutely do there. Now, you could do a thing where they open up the show, cut a little bit of a promo. John Cena and Stone Cold and The Undertaker are just bullshitting and whatever. Like, you could do that, and that's completely fine. Or you could do something a little bit different with them, which is have a couple heels on the show that everybody hates, on the show, interrupt WrestleMania at some point, and then it would be really fun to see John Cena and Stone Cold come out and beat the hell out of them, right? I think the coolest surprises in wrestling are the ones that, like, you think are predictable, but they're really not. So, like, the first option I think is very predictable because we've seen it before, where it was such an integral part of WrestleMania. You have three legends open up, you're talking, cutting a promo, whatever. I think no matter what, this option is a safe option and it's a fun option and people will enjoy it. It's a great way to open up the show and people will get excited and that type of thing. But what I do want to say is that I think there's a whole different option that makes so much more sense, way more fun, and actually could lead to something at WrestleMania 41, which I wouldn't be opposed to. Now, in order for this to happen, I do think it has to happen on night 2, because I'm pretty sure the six-pack ladder challenge, ladder match, I think that takes place on night 1. And look, I don't know who's going to win the tag team title belts. Let's just say, for instance, that they win or they don't win. I guess that doesn't really matter. But if Grayson Waller and Austin Theory have the SmackDown tag team title belts, because I do believe they're going to split at WrestleMania, but if they have the tag title belts, on night 1, and they show up on night 2, they're cutting a promo in the ring or whatever, you could always have them get interrupted by John Cena and Stone Cold Steve Austin, which there's a lot of logic behind that, considering John Cena lost to Austin Theory and Austin Theory hasn't done anything. So that's going to create some really good promos. Stone Cold obviously being able to hit a stunner on Theory, we're going to see him sell the shit out of it. Grayson Waller is a great talker. He'll be able to talk amongst them. I think it would be a little bit fun. A little bit more fun, and the beauty of it is that these guys are on TV. They could talk about it, and if WWE ever wants, man, they could always turn it into a tag team championship match at SummerSlam or something. I don't know. I'm just saying, if they ever wanted to, they could. I don't think that's likely, but I think it would be really cool if you have other wrestlers interact with them who can get a little bit of that rub. I think in the case of Theory, there's like a little bit of a slow burn for the babyface turn. I think that could be really cool too if Austin Theory were to turn on Grayson Waller in that moment and stand tall with Theory and Austin. I could see WWE trying to do something like that to push him in everybody's throats. I don't know if I would necessarily do that, but my point is there's a lot of options. You could do a lot. Do I want to see them open up the show and cut a promo? No, I want to see them get right down to business. Rhea and Becky just open it up and just let them wrestle for like 40 hours. And then what I would do is have them come in at some point and interact with some talent in a in-ring segment. And it should be against some heels. And, we'll see how that goes. But WWE definitely did this on purpose. And the good thing is now we could all speculate in fantasy book and have a little bit of fun with this. I want to hear what you guys think, obviously. I think for me personally as a fan, I just love stuff like this. And, it's one of the big things that have drawn me into WWE a lot more in the last year or so. Little things matter. And when the little things matter, usually we are never disappointed later on. And that's how I feel about it. And that's why I'm excited about it. So you guys let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching.